Hello, Facebook world, and everywhere else that's gonna hear this. Francis chats. It's mindful conversation. Francis chats today with an amazing woman, and what do you call this one? All I know is that we are in for a treat and something that is life transforming. I just want to say, guys, everybody that I have the honor of chatting in this platform these days are just like experts in their field who have so much to share. And I hope you learn from them. And it's like, really, like, I'm just so honored to have this space. And Soyini, thank you in advance for doing this with me. And in this platform, I am your host, Francis, and I aim to provide a space for our friends whose mission is to impact lives, as many lives as they can. So without further ado, who's my guest for today? Soyini Walton is a life coach, a motivational coach, and certified life empowerment coach, and an author of Going Through Hell to Get to Heaven, which I did as our title for this talk, just because it's literally what happened to her. Um, I don't want to actually what do you call it? Filipino brain. To get this much longer, I will let our guest speak for herself. So if you are here joining us live, please put hashtag live or just say hello. It's social media. Please be social. Get ready with your drinks, water, if you have water or anything else, and sit back, relax, and learn from our guests. And I hope if you have questions, anything at all, put it in the comment section so we could ask our guests. And if you're watching this on replay, the same, say hi. Okay, so without further ado, please help me welcome Soyini Walton on the stage. Where's my stage? Hi,
Good.
Zini. Hello.
How are you, Francis?
I'm good. I'm good. I just want to say thank you again for sitting down with me.
Absolutely.
I think your voice needs more ears to hear it,
Hmm.
because I know that you'll be impacting other, not only just women, right? Because you do talk to organizations, you do talk to companies, and
Yeah.
everybody who is alive should hear this.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, okay, before I have this tendency to drag things, but I will let you talk. Please, number one, please tell us about you. And number two, please tell us one fact about you that not much people in the internet know about. Thank
Hmm. Okay, that's a good question. So about me, again, I'm Soyini Walton, and I'm so many things. First off, I'm a mom and a wife, which I'm very thankful about those two things. I'm also a life coach. So I call myself like a transformational coach. I tend to work with people on a very deep level to kind of dig out those inner riches in their life. That means their purpose and emotional strength and all that. And we use all that to do basically to like structure the life that they really want. So that's why I call myself a transformational coach, because I really dig deep. It's not surface level stuff. So I'm a life coach, and I'm an author of this book here, Going Through Hell to Get to Heaven. And we'll talk a lot about that today. Hopefully, you guys can see it. And yeah, so I'm a coach, I'm a speaker and author, a mom, and a lifelong learner of human development. Oh, and how could I forget this one? I'm also a domestic violence advocate.
you. Oh yeah, that's what, because of
That's
the
a big
that's
one,
what's the
right?
big one.
Yeah,
And the book is about basically,
right.
why is that, right? And
Absolutely.
one fact about you that nobody much in the
And
internet knows about.
nobody will know. I actually did in undergraduate college. I did the summer abroad in China. So I went to school for a whole like semester in China. I was in Beijing and Shanghai. I went to Beijing Administrative College, and I learned very very little Mandarin. So don't ask me like to say long sentences, but I know a few words. So that was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful trip. I think that definitely shaped who I am as a person, just being exposed to Chinese culture and like it was great. It was a wonderful time. Wonderful time. I loved it. Loved it.
You amazing. That's my dream. to
Yeah,
actually spend some time in China.
yeah.
I was a kung fu movie addict.
Are you serious? Are you really serious? Yeah, that's cool.
Like I was in love with, I don't know if you've heard about him, but I think he's big in China and Hong Kong. He went to Hollywood for a bit. Not Jackie Chan. I love Jackie Chan, but
Yeah.
I was in love with Jet Li growing up. If
Well,
you know,
yes, I know who that is too. Oh, let me find out your crush, Francis. Was that your crush?
he was my crush growing up. I don't know why, but anyway, thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I was lost in my thought.
Yeah, that's
So,
okay.
what happened? I mean,
Sure.
before it's okay. Before this, the big one, the DV thing. I've
Right.
read in your bio that you are already in the human development
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, I think, probably, gosh, when I was, like, in high school, I really started getting interested in, personal development and self-help. That whole, like, genre. I used to always go to the library and just, like, get a bunch of books on personal development and, like, like, goal setting. So that's kind of just been in me my whole life. I don't know where that came from, but it's always been in me, and I've always been, like, fascinated with people's journeys in life, and how people get through difficult times. And I really been interested in dreaming big and, having a vision for your life. I think is so important. So that kind of started for me in high school. And by the time I graduated, college, I went out and, I started working like we all, go get a job after college. And I got a job. First, actually, I worked at Bank of America in San Francisco. I worked at I was like a manager there in the corporate office. And then after that, I got this really cool job in Washington, D.C. to work at Xerox. So it's a big company. Always wanted to be in sales because I love people and I love, I just love people a lot. And sales is just, it was a great personality fit. So I moved to DC and I started working there. And from that point on, I was like, wow, I still like this whole idea of personal development. So somehow I found out about coaching, life coaching, and I was like, oh, this is great. So I used to, I went through like a coaching program and I was like, I love this work so much. So I kept my 9 to 5 job, never, never left that. But on the weekends, I started coaching clients and I really liked it a lot. But I didn't have, at that time, I didn't have the confidence or courage to like leave my job, and pursue, my dream full time. So I kind of put that on hold. But coaching has been instrumental in my life because when I did go through, what happened, in my book, I was able to kind of like coach myself through it, so that I'm still here. So I know we'll talk a little bit more about that, but that's kind of the genesis of how like, life coaching and personal development have always been part of my DNA.
Meet myself.
Mhm.
I always do this. That's amazing. Like, I mean, you started young.
Yeah.
So it's really just like in you. And
Mhm.
that is amazing. I mean, yeah, I think, are you a book person? Like, I mean, I
I
see your
love
books on the back.
Oh my gosh, I know this is me and my husband's office, and, like, yeah, he loves books, I love books. We have this bookshelf in the office, then we have another one, like, in the dining room, and it's just we love books, we love reading because we both love learning, so, yeah,
I
lots of
love
books.
that. I so
Mhm.
love that. It's just because I just can relate. My
Yeah,
mom is a big bookworm, and I think growing up, it's like a big part of my family.
yeah.
And I'm so, the thing is, I'm guilty of not really reading to my kids. So
Oh, no, are you serious? My son loves books too, I have to read to him all the time. Well, now he's learning how to read, but yeah.
yeah, I think my kids are just like so independent and doing it by
I know.
themselves.
Let 'em they get their tablet, it's over, it's like,
I
Mhm.
know. Anyway, thank you so much for sharing that. So I guess that's how, like, as you said, it's a big thing when that
Yeah,
thing happened in your life. Um you already are coaching and coaching yourself. And well, you know what, I think everything's just aligned, right? If you haven't, that would have been a big thing. Hi,
yeah.
Victoria, thank you so much for joining us. I think we
Yeah.
have 3 viewers. I can see the
Oh, cool.
others.
Okay,
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
great. That's wonderful. Yeah, So after, when I was working, it was so funny, Francis. I actually got to the point where I was going to leave, my corporate job. At this point, I was actually with another company. I was with DHL. I was a sales manager, and I was like, okay, I need to kind of like, really start taking this coaching seriously. So I started at that point saving money to, to venture out and have my own business. During that time, I wound up meeting this guy. And he seemed like super cool. Our relationship kind of happened like really, really fast. And I was like, oh, this is great. Because, I'm at the point in my life where I wanted to get married and, have children, all that stuff, the whole dream. And so we started dating, and everything was like really pretty normal, except my feeling in my gut always was that, there was something a little bit different about him. I didn't really understand exactly where that was coming from, and I ignored it, which I always tell people I kind of regret that I ignored that gut feeling. And after like maybe 8 months, I think I kind of forgot how long we dated. It was under a year, but it was maybe 8 or 10 months. And then I broke up with him. I just told him I wanted to end the relationship, and that's like where everything just kind of went downhill from there. Like, we broke up, he immediately started this very strange behavior. Like, he would just call me like constantly, like throughout the day, just call, he would text, he would start showing up at my door. And initially, the first few days or like week or so, I was like, okay, this is just probably normal, just kind of he's gonna, stop doing this. But then the calls to like my family, my friends, all that stuff started, just weird behavior. He reached out to my pastor at my church, which I knew was totally not normal. And he told the pastor we're having problems and that he needs some help so we can get back together. And at that time, I was making it so clear, like, I don't want to be in this relationship. Like, I was very firm about that. And he ignored it. So he kept doing stuff. I didn't even know at the time that this is actual, not weird behavior, but the right term is stalking. He was stalking me and I didn't know. And I didn't even think to Google it because it never happened to me before, with him or any other relationship. Didn't happen with my parents, my friends. That whole stalking word was not even in my, vocabulary. And so that went on for like 6 months, just progressively getting just really, really bad. The weirdest thing that I tell people all the time, the strangest thing that he did, one of my younger brothers was in college in Minnesota. He was a football player, and my ex called the football coach and asked to speak to my brother. And the coach went out and got my brother, and my brother was like, "What?" He was like, "I don't even know him." He was like, "No, I'm not getting on the phone." And my brother later on, he called me, and I was like, that's when I got really scared. I was like, I am dealing with somebody that is kind of, not all the way there. And so I just started getting scared. I got really scared. I started sleeping with a knife under my pillow because I was like, I don't know what's going on. I got a restraining order that didn't help me at all. And I tell people, like, I work with a lot of domestic violence, survivors now. And just when I do these kind of talks, I tell people a restraining order is wonderful. But for me, it was just a piece of paper that didn't really stop anything. And that's terrifying to me because at that point, I felt like I really don't have any protection. Um, so then, all this stuff is going on, and I'm just so frustrated. I'm starting to lose weight because I'm not eating, I'm not sleeping. My eyes look tired. I look worn out because I am worn out. And so January 14th, 2009, I was driving back from my church. My church was in Baltimore. So it's like maybe half an hour back to where I lived in Maryland. And I just remember like driving, and it was like a long, long, slow drive. And I just remember saying to myself, like, something about this feels very strange. My intuition was just telling me, like, this is not a normal time in life. And I was just tired. I was like, how much longer can I go on like this? And I got home and I pulled into my to my development. And actually, just to backtrack, there was a red light right in front of my, development, and then you'd make a right to go into my townhome. And so when I remember stopping at the red light, and I just heard a voice say, "He's here." And I was like, "No, he's not." Because I didn't want to believe that. I was thinking, no, he's not. I hadn't seen him at that point. Like in maybe 2 weeks, he had kind of stopped stalking so much. And so I pulled up to my house and I just sat there. I had like my cell phone. I was just kind of looking through and I was just like, just looking. And at the time, now that I think back, I was really praying, like, oh God, like I knew something was coming. And so I got out of the car and like I remember him saying my name and I remember turning around and seeing him and I was terrified. Like I had my Bible in one hand from church. I had, papers and stuff from church. And I just dropped that and I was like, what are you doing here? And I was like, you're not supposed to be here. And I was just like kind of babbling like that because I was so overwhelmed. I was like, what is going on? Like this, we have a restraining order. Why are you here? And I just was shaking and everything just kind of dropped because I was shaking the book, my Bible, the papers, all that stuff just dropped. And I started walking up the stairs because he was pushing me to go up the stairs to get to my front door. And he's just pushing me and pushing me. And the whole time he's pushing me and I'm thinking, oh God. And we got like to the door and I had my key and I just put, with my right hand, I put the key in the door and it got in there. And I was just thinking, he's going to get me in this house and he's going to kill me. And I remember I looked up at him and I was like, what's in your pocket? Because he had this big, like, New York Yankees jacket on. And there was this big old like bulge in his pocket. And I was like, "What do you have in there?" He was like, "Oh, it's just keys." And he pushed me real hard, like he was like trying to push me through the door. He was like, "Let's go in." And I remember I was like, "Uh-uh." And I pulled the key out and I was like, you know, like whatever you want to say to me, you say it right here. Because I was like, he's not gonna get me in my house and kill me. And I'm just there for days. And I took the key out and like I just remember like, God talking to me and and just like telling me what to do, telling me how fast to walk, how many steps to go down. And I was trying at that point to get to my next door neighbor's house because he knew what was going on. I have a big mouth, Francis. So I was kind of telling everybody in the neighborhood like what's going on. So they would like look out for me. And my neighbors would call and text like, hey, he's at your door. And, we were a good family type environment in my neighborhood. And so I was trying to get to my neighbor Carlton's house, and by the time I got to the bottom of the stairs to make the turn to my neighbor's house, he just said something, and I said something, and he pulled out this gun, and he like shot me. And I remember it happened so fast. I was in so much shock. I don't even remember hearing myself scream, but my neighbors they told me that I screamed really loud. But I remember just being shocked and I just remember he shot me and I just remember like kind of like falling to the ground and then he stood over me and then he shot me one more time and I just remember just everything in my body just like this like I don't know when I describe it I always tell people it's like this current of energy just like went through my whole being and I remember thinking like he might have, I might be paralyzed because I couldn't move and I was trying to get up. I couldn't move. And I was just like, oh my God. And I had like, because he ultimately shot me in my head and my face area, and I had like blood everywhere. So I was trying to look, but I couldn't see because there was blood. And my neighbors, everybody around me was screaming, and I heard people crying and screaming. And then I heard like I heard his truck pull off. It sped away really fast. And I just remember laying there and I remember just like, just so in shock. And it was a lot. And then my next memory after being in the ambulance, I just remember waking up in the hospital with all these tubes in me. And so I'll pause there if you want to kind of ask anything. But yeah, that it was terrifying because that wasn't supposed to happen to me. People have all these like views or opinions sometimes in society of what a domestic violence victim looks like. And I'm one of them, and I'm not the norm. I came from a very good two-parent home, very loving family. I got two good, my brothers are awesome. I have great friends and family, extended family. My relationships have always been cool. I've had boyfriends we've broken up before, but nobody ever went to that extreme. It's just that was just crazy. So I tell people all the time, like, if you feel that something is strange or a little bit off about somebody, if I could tell you anything, I would just say just trust that, because you never know what people are capable of, and in my case, unfortunately, it turned out to be my worst nightmare ever. But I'm so thankful I'm here. And one of the things that I when I came to in the hospital, I just remember saying, God, if you keep me here, I will tell my story to my last breath. That was January 14th, 2009. And to this day, I have not stopped. I'm so passionate about getting this word out. So I do work with, survivors of domestic violence, but also people who are kind of having to start over in life. It's kind of like, it's what I do. It's kind of like a ministry for me, I guess, just to make sure that people know that this stuff happens and it's real. But if you go through anything in life, you can always bounce back. As long as you're here, you're living and you're breathing, you can bounce back. So I guess I'll stop there, and I don't know if there's any questions or anything.
Oh my gosh, it's just like I've heard. I mean, I've stalked you. Stalked. This is see, that's the word. That's the funny thing. I'm so sorry. I was like, it's like okay, that's a different kind of stalking.
Yeah.
That's so like hardcore and like the bad one. I
Mhm.
do it like nicely to get to know you before our talk because
Right,
I'm
right.
so. I just want to give a shout out to Kim. Thank you, Kim, for introducing me to
Thank you so
Soyini.
much, Kim. Yes, Kim's great.
Yeah, I
Mhm,
was like, so give the space because I said, even though I've watched your
mhm.
other interviews, it's just so different when you hear it first time. I mean, in live like
Yeah.
this, and I know, I mean, you should. I'm sure you have shared this story, um, over and over again, and as you said, it has become kind of like a ministry for you,
Mhm,
because as you said, you don't look like the normal
mm-mm.
stereotype of somebody who
Right.
would undergo that. And I think I'm a believer. God is always there to protect us.
Oh, yeah, true.
Like whatever happens, no matter what. And I'm just glad that you're here, thriving and sharing this to us. And I'm trying to see if there's like what do you call this one? Any questions in our thing? But I just want to say thank you for
Mhm.
sharing that because I'm sure I know it must be like you're used to it, but I'm sure every time it's not fun. If
Yeah,
that makes sense to
I know.
share this.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it gets to be, because I kind of, that's something to be careful about, because there's PTSD from experiences like this. But I know that God kept me here for this specific reason, because I do have the strength. I am a strong person, and I'm able to do what I'm here to do. So this is that makes it bearable for me. And it also makes me think that it's just good for people to have an actual face, because you can read statistics all the time, but I'm an actual face of what this actually looks like, and the recovery period is no joke. Like, people are always like, oh, because I actually lost my eye from this. One of the shots to the face kind of took my eye. So that's, as far as like physical damage, that's a big one. Um, it's huge, because I kind of had to reorient myself in life, like as far as driving and walking. Like, sometimes I bump into people, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
vision is a little, it's a little challenging, but I'm here. So that's all good. But yeah, the emotional part, and that's why I like to coach people, like, on the emotional side of things, because when you have like any kind of damage or trauma to your life, it does affect you on an emotional and spiritual level. And that's how I am able to help people outside of just domestic violence, because a lot of people go through stuff, and so the emotional toll that it takes on you. I think the physical thing was, I kind of got over that pretty fast, thank you, God. But the emotional part did take longer. There's a lot of forgiveness I had to do, a lot of inner work, like figuring out why, how did I attract this person? Like, how did I, out of all the guys in the world, like, how did I meet him? Like, having to have those heart to heart conversations with myself, and like, that's just kind of tough. Just having that kind of talk, like, wow, girl, like, you know, you met this guy. You're in a relationship with them. How did this happen? And kind of blaming myself for that, like knowing that I'm a smart woman and this happened.
I can so relate to that. With the blame, why is it in the thick of things like there's an instance before? I just want to be kind of like
Mhm,
vulnerable with everybody right now.
mhm,
Why is it that I'm sure there's some signs, but when you are in the middle of it,
mhm,
like you can't just, is it because we kind of like have an emotion of love
mhm,
and stuff that we're kind of
mhm.
like blind in this those kind of signs? So it's like, yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
um Go to your papa. Don't, mama, be quiet, I'm working, go to your papa. But I mean, I'm glad with this too. But
Mhm.
yeah, like I understand what you're saying. It's like there's like the shame, the blaming, and the
Yeah.
I'm still working on those.
Mhm.
So yeah. Oh, Victoria, as long as you're breathing, you will get back. I got that you're so
Thank you,
touchy.
Victoria. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Thank you. That's true too. And that reminds me, I have on my website on soyiniwalton.com, you can always buy my book, but I also have a free just like ebook on there about bouncing back, because that's what I had to do essentially is bounce back. So if people go to soyiniwalton.com, they can read more about me and also download the free ebook too. And my other book is on just Amazon, but yeah. And I'm a coach, so that part too. But yeah, yeah, I love what Victoria said. I agree totally.
Yeah, and I think, well, right now it's not only like with a DV or something. I love the word bounce back.
Yeah.
Because for real, I think in different parts of our life, we always just go there and then just bounce back.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, like it's not
Like
going
a
to be
dance
always
or
on the
something.
high, right?
Yeah.
But I'm so happy because
Mhm.
yes, maybe. Oh my gosh, this is the reality, guys. When you're
It's
working
true.
at home
Working
and then
mom, that's so true. Mhm.
we have the little guest here that is here too, but so aw, thank you,
Aw.
baby. Go to your papa. Dali, go, go. What do you call this one? No, I'm lost. Sorry, Sayini.
That's
Thank you,
okay.
Victoria. Um, so with I think all of this have this experience
Mhm.
kind of like make your coaching stronger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think and that's a good point. I'm glad you said that, Francis, because, I think the best, like, coaches are you have to kinda go through something. Otherwise, it's just words. Like, I could go out and get a degree in, trauma or, coaching or whatever, but there's like meat behind what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like I have real life experience with this, like I know what it's like to just not know whether or not you can keep going. Like, do I still want to be here? Like I remember asking myself that. Like I survived it, but do I still want to be here? Like that's a that's a that's a dark question, but it's real. So I know what it's like to kind of get to that bottom in life, to really reach that bottom. I know what that's like. And I know how the other side when, you don't feel that way at all, which is where I am. But yeah, that's real. You got to have some meat in it, to have impact.
Thank you, because yeah, I think so. That's like the heaven. That
Yeah,
after all those through hell that you have,
say
like, which
that.
I mean, is, with you, it's like literal, man.
Yeah.
It was like literal.
Yeah, like
It was like okay. I know there's so
mhm,
much amazing coaches. I mean, I know you mean.
mhm.
I know there's so much amazing coaches, and as you said, you could get a degree, understand the principles, understand the methods
Right.
behind.
And that's
But
important. I'm not taking
yeah,
away from that because I have that too, but I also have the experience that gives it that little extra thing. Mhm.
yeah, big thing. I think
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
for
not
sure.
small thing. It's a big thing. So, right now you
Mhm,
are currently working as you if I understand correctly, you're
mhm.
currently working with DV victims, survivors,
Yeah,
survivors. I'm
yeah,
like, sorry, I'm not good
no,
with it.
that's
Mess.
no, that's cool. Yeah, with domestic violence, I'm like an advocate. So I work with a couple of different domestic violence agencies here in the San Francisco Bay Area in Silicon Valley, which is where I live. So I do that, and then I work. I kind of coach like some domestic violence clients one on one. But I also like work with people who don't have domestic violence issue at all. But there's other like life goals that they have, and I work with them to help get them there, and I work with like groups and stuff. So I do a lot, and then I do a lot of speaking. And I'm excited. Maybe I can come back because in October I'm going to do this really good like workshop online about self image, because one of the things that I learned is that when you see yourself as a domestic violence victim, or like, when you see yourself a certain way, you're going to have a certain experience. But when you change the image about yourself, everything in your life changes. So I have a lot of principles and stuff like that that I'm going to teach about that. I've been doing this workshop for a while, but I've been tweaking it, and it's just been getting better and better. So I'm going to do it on October 1st. So I'll have some information about that. I guess, come back and share it with you. But it's going to
Yes,
be better.
please. Yes,
Good.
please.
It's gonna be good. So
I just before I
mhm.
forget. I want to get back to the book.
Sure, sure.
Just a little bit of touch of it because it's a big thing of your life. Uh
Mhm.
as I recall reading the description of the book in Amazon, is it like a, can you say it's like a memoir or a manual of
Mm.
before and after?
Yeah,
And
that's a good
yeah.
question. So I've kept a journal, like, since I was probably, like, 3rd grade, maybe? Like, 2nd or th like, I was a little girl, like, always, keeping journals. So I have, like, boxes and stuff like that full of journals. So I've always been like a writer, write about life and, my life and all that stuff. And so even through this experience, I was writing, met this guy today. Oh, see how it goes. And so even in my journal, I was chronicling everything. And so when the stalking, all that stuff started, I was jotting that down too. I was always writing. So 7 months after everything happened, I was at my parents' house, healing and all that stuff, and I just whipped out my journal and I was like, I'm gonna write a real life, like, memoir, I guess, about that actual experience. So my book is about like the kind of like I set the stage with a year before everything happened versus when it happened and you know, post event. So I wanted people just to see like kind of like a progression. So I'm very like candid and stuff about things. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that I'm excited to actually get it next. I was planning to get it soon as possible because I wanted to learn also because sometimes it might not be us, it might be somebody
And that's
who we
right.
know.
That's right.
And
And
yeah, right?
I interview a few people in my family and friends who just to talk about their experience because it affected me. But like I tell people all the time, domestic violence just doesn't affect the victim. It's like everybody that victim has touched, their family members, the friends, the community. Like all those teenagers in my townhouse development, they witnessed the crime. Some of them were like 16, 15 years old, and they saw that with the blood and the everything. And so that's traumatic. Then some elderly neighbors, everybody saw it. It affected my parents deeply, my brothers, my friends, and yeah. So I talk about that in there. It doesn't just affect, it didn't just affect me. So it's pretty deep. It's a community issue.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Question.
Mhm.
I haven't gotten to the part of the interview because these little kids always distract me. But
Oh, yeah. It's a good.
um he's in jail.
No, he's not. He's not in jail. He's deceased.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Sorry, but I'm not
Mhm.
sorry to hear that.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
if not you, somebody else might like, I mean, it's not gonna stop with one person, right? With this kind of people, it just
Yeah, it was a
it,
pattern, and I was honestly, I was part of the pattern. I was the pattern of doing that to women and them getting a restraining order, but then him convincing them to withdraw the restraining order. The only difference with me is that I didn't stop the restraining order. I just kept moving forward. So yeah, that was his pattern, and I wish I didn't know that. I never knew that. Never knew
yeah.
that till the end. So
Well, it's
mm,
I'm sure, I'm sure, as you said earlier,
Mhm.
You're thinking about, is it my fault that I've met this person?
Right,
Is it?
right.
But it is not, right? It is not. It's never the
Yeah.
victim's fault. Because I know a friend, a close
Mhm.
friend, whose sister also have like it didn't go through with the shooting part,
Yeah.
but with bad stalking, the
Mm.
harassment and
Yeah,
everything. She
yeah.
said, "Is it because I wear short skirts? Is it because I wear makeup? Is it because I wear sexy clothes?" But all I know is that it's not their fault. We
It's
were, as a woman, we have the what do you call this one? The freedom to do what
yeah,
we want.
we
And I don't
do.
think that's an invitation, right?
No, it's not, and it's just like, yeah, it's not your fault. It's like, no, it's not. It's that person has a problem, you know? That person has a problem. They need help,
The
they
bad
need
thing
help.
is that until they show their real colors, nobody could really tell.
Right, right. That's exactly true. That's so true. And I was gonna say too, Francis, like I had, the physical domestic violence, but there's also like emotional, some people are just verbally abused in their relationship or marriage. There's financial abuse, like withholding money and just basically, one of the cool jobs I had after everything happened, I was a life coach at a domestic violence center in Maryland. And that's when I learned like all the different forms of domestic violence. Like one woman who came there, she was not a legal US citizen, and her husband used to beat her just horribly, and he told her, "If you go and tell, I'm gonna report you," you know, so that was kinda how he held that over her head. Another lady, her husband just starved her out, like, he didn't allow her to work, and he wouldn't give her any money. He would only buy food or anything for himself. So he just starved her out financially. There's like so many types, and it's just like, wow, it's all bad. It's all bad.
Thank you. Because when we think about domestic violence, it's always just like the picture is somebody who got punched so
Yeah,
badly.
and that's
Nobody, yeah.
it's like, there's
Like the TV version of DV, right? Which is,
right, right.
thank you for, I just learned something that it's not just that. There's
Mm-mm.
so many faces of it.
So many.
And yeah. So everybody, just wanna plug. Her book is in Amazon. I'm gonna put the link later
Mhm.
in the comment section and in the main post. I think this is a good read for everybody, especially the ones who are contemplating to be not only in a relationship,
Right.
right, and who are already in the relationship.
Exactly, exactly.
And also, I'm gonna plug her website also because
Yeah.
Soyini actually works, as she said, with people who wants to bounce back.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's a life-changing thing. So yeah.
Yeah.
Then question. Not question. I just realized that you're going I just remembered. Ah, like you're going to you're I'm excited for your workshop. Is it the
Mhm.
workshop
October
that's
1st. Yep.
coming October 1st? I
Mhm.
think image, not only for somebody who have
Yes.
traumatic experiences, but I think
Everybody. Yep.
everybody have this insecurities, I guess.
Mhm, mhm,
I
mhm.
think especially with what do you call this one, with every, especially with social media. I'm building my business in social media,
Yeah.
and it's so hard sometimes to I've worked on this by myself, that
Mhm.
everybody want have to be beautifully polished looking in social media.
All the
Eh,
time.
right.
Yeah, all the time. Gosh.
It's like, so well, I made a decision after a while that I'll be as messy as possible. It doesn't matter as long as I show up for the people who I wanted to serve, which
Mhm.
I think not everybody have that yet.
Right.
And I think I'm so excited for the people who will actually go to your workshop, because that would be a big thing, especially for somebody who's trying to build a business online.
Exactly.
Because I'm sure you know what I mean. Like, everybody have to look polished. It has to be perfect.
Everybody. It has to be perfect. I know. I know. And that's yeah, I was gonna say make sure anybody watching or listening, please just even just go to my website and you can email me from there, or like I said, download the book from there. But yeah, just have a way to keep in touch because I do want to get that information out. I'll be sending out a lot of information about the workshop October 1st.
And thank you because I already said I already invited you again to please come. I mean,
Yeah.
when it's really when it's almost there, I would want for you to come back and invite everybody
Mm-hmm.
to further workshop. And Sayini, before I actually let you go,
Uh-huh.
one thing throughout this business of life coaching, coaching other women, I'm sure there are also men who are actually DV victims too,
Oh,
right?
yeah, and I was gonna say that too, like, people forget, like, now there's also, like, men, that are yeah, it's crazy. It's men, it's people that are in same-sex relationships. It's like it's literally something that affects every single body, every community. But, yeah, we can't forget about men, and that sucks because men are often looked at as, "Oh, what you mean a woman is attacking you?" But it happens. Sometimes, the woman is the abuser. Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I was like, okay, I think we have to remember that also. And here she is.
I know, right? Yeah, like,
I
be
don't know, like,
fair.
Joanne said, thanks for sharing. So sorry to hear this happen to you. Thank you, Joanne, for jumping in.
Joanne, appreciate you.
And Victoria said, I'm sorry for what you went
Yes,
through. God, yes, I know. I mean, it's
guys,
always just
so
the
much.
faith, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. So, yeah. Last question. With everything, not last question. With everything that has happened with your business, what's the next step for you other than the workshop in October?
Yes. So, well, my big vision, I'm just gonna be the number one, like, transformational coach on the planet. So I'm gonna do that, and I hope at some point to maybe have some type of organization or something to help ladies in domestic violence. I'm thinking about doing something like that too. And something totally unrelated to domestic violence that I've always wanted to do is open like a juice bar, like a nutrition. Yeah, I'm really like into health, like a lot, like juicing, which is something I'm religious about. So I want to open like a juice bar and like have a place for people to get all this healthy like food and supplements and all that stuff. So that's kind of like a vision outside of this. And maybe in that same center, I can have like courses on, taking care of your inner self, your inner body. The juicing and all that, the health stuff is for the outside. So, but the inner stuff, maybe we'll have classes there too. I don't know. That's just something I think about.
That's amazing. I mean, I think it actually blends well together.
Mm-hmm.
Like when somebody bounce back, it's not only the inner part, but also the physical part could be
Yeah.
well
Oh,
bounce back too, right? Like some people
yeah.
who are actually like people who get depressed sometimes gain weight without
They
like
do.
all this, right?
They do. That's true.
Ah,
And I started part of my recovery journey. I did like get a personal trainer. I started getting it just like in excellent, shape, physical shape. And that helped me so much. I went to while I was doing that, I enrolled in grad school. So like a year after everything happened in 2009, I was actually in grad school, like almost a year to the date. It was ridiculously amazing. But it was because I just started getting my mind and my body together and like moving forward. So all this stuff is possible for everybody. But you got to be conscious and have somebody to support you along the way. I could be that person for you. So,
I believe so. Everybody who are watching, who will watch this on the replay,
yeah.
please do please do follow Suyini. I'll be putting her social media handles in a bit after this. Please do go to her website. I think I have it there on our banner.
Yeah.
um, and connect with her. Get the book. She have a free ebook
Mhm.
and just have a way of connecting with her. And Suyini, God bless with all the stuff because I
So,
know it will be there. And I
yeah,
think one thing really that's I just pops on my mind, maybe a mini course or mini offers that
that's what
caters
I'm
to
thinking too.
yeah.
Yeah, that's something I've been kind of working on too, honestly. I just didn't talk
Yeah.
about it, but yeah, that's something I have been working on too. Yeah.
Lots of things to do, right? I mean,
I know,
different touch points to
not enough
work with Suyini.
Yeah. Oh,
Anyway,
yeah. Thank you.
I think we'll wrap it up. Any
Okay.
last advice, any last words for our friends before I
Mhm.
let you go and let everybody go?
Yeah. I would just tell everybody, no matter what's going on in your life, just love yourself. Love yourself, appreciate yourself, no matter how good or how bad things are. Just love yourself and make that a constant in your life. Because when you love yourself and you're kind to yourself, you're going to draw in people who are going to bring that same energy to you. And if they don't, you're going to spot that and you're going to push them away. So just love yourself. Remember that.
Love it. Thank you so much, boundaries people, boundaries. And spot those. Now, what I hear from this
Mhm.
is action. Life. Uh, Number one, always don't ignore
Don't.
those gut feelings,
Don't ignore.
those inner voices. Don't ignore those.
Mm-mm.
Learn how to ask for help.
Yeah.
Um,
If something's going on, share it. Tell
Share
people
it.
what's going on.
I'm so proud of your community. I mean,
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
good
It was
community
great.
you
It was
have.
great. That was a blessing from God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, people connect with Sayini. I'll be dropping all the links that where you could connect with her and watch out for her workshop this coming October 1st. I'll be inviting her again to invite
Yeah, I
us
will
to
be
that
back.
workshop. Yes. So wait, baby. Okay, I'll say bye-bye now. Oh my god, this is one of the most distracting.
That's
Sorry, Sayini, but I hope you're okay. You're a mom.
it's
Live
fine.
the life of a mom.
I know, because if my son wasn't at school, he'd be right here, like asking questions and everything. Yeah. So, yeah.
You so much, ladies. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Victoria, Joanne, Kim, and everybody who's gonna watch this on replay. Any questions? Just DM Suhini, connect with her. Oh, I think you're not so active in Facebook, right? But you're more
Not
active in
yeah, more
Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah, more on Instagram, definitely.
What's the best way of connecting with you? The website.
Instagram or website, yeah, or send me an email, Soyini. My first name is Soyini. You see it up there at soyiniwalton.com. You can always email me too. So
There you go, guys. So much
Instagram,
ways.
I'd say my website or Instagram. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay,
Sugini.
thank
Thank you
you
again for
guys.
taking this time with me. Thank you,
Absolutely.
everyone. And so that's the wrap of our Francis Chaz Mindful Conversations with our guests. And if you are an entrepreneur who have a story to tell, wanted to create an impact, and wanted to have a little space or want to join my little part of this meta world,
Yeah.
I highly invite you to just DM me also. I'm always in the DMs. Just messenger me. Anyway, God bless everyone. Happy Wednesday, Sayini.
Okay, thank you.
And
Bye everyone.
bye. Okay, where's the end button?